We've completed 3 years in the Miami Hurricanes dynasty, and it's been an interesting journey to this point with a 14-2 playoff season in year 1, followed by a 5-7 campaign after, and then bouncing back with a 10-4 season, an ACC title victory, a playoff berth, but no playoff victory. We had a chance, but we blew the game in the end. It was a much better year than I had expected. It was our first year getting to play with one of the quarterbacks that I brought in, and Colin Kunalik had an interesting freshman year. I think it was clear he probably gave us the best chance to win, but he also plays a risky brand of football. There were a lot of big plays from Kunalik, but also a whole lot of mistakes. We took 10 sacks in that bowl game. That was unbelievable. Our left side was getting destroyed. It was just a very odd game. I didn't see it playing out the way it did. We end up losing by 1, giving us 2 losses to Notre Dame on the year. Now that we're going to be entering Season 4, there's going to be only a handful of players on the roster that were here when this series began. I've added in so many freshmen in this most recent recruiting class, and I wanted a much smaller class for this season, but with higher quality prospects. I also want to reevaluate the way I handle the portal, because I really don't like how in this series and in my Buffalo series, I've ended up adding too many players thinking that they're going to have a chance to take on all these roles. But really, I need to be more selective and realize that they're not going to develop. And especially 3 stars are not going to make a massive difference on a team like Miami. If I think about right now what I want to do in the portal, I'm never going to shy away from like 5-star talent. If we could bring in a top receiver to help replace Isaiah Horton, I would be open to that. If we can add a tight end where we have no standout player and no standout prospect, that's great. And then I want our interior line to get stronger. If there's a really good prospect out there at center or guard, I'll have a lot of interest. And then at tackle, I do think I have some prospects that can take over. And players like Allen Edmond with elite development, we should be able to count on. So if there's a guy who has elite development, I don't want to block his path. As a reminder for my house rules in this series, if a player wants to go pro and he is projected to go in the first 3 rounds, I will not convince him to stay. And I will not convince any running back to stay. That's just a position where I think it makes sense to go pro early. So if it happens, it'll just be a challenge I have to work around. But I'm expecting Armando Blunt to be a very early draft pick and declare after being the team's MVP, I'd say, for the last 2 years, certainly in year 3. 35 TFLs, 12.5 sacks, and 82 tackles. We need more game wreckers, and I think we have guys developing who can take on that responsibility. Star Dev on Lester Judovsky, really intrigued with how he develops this year, eyeing a chance to now become a full-time starter. We should be able to get Marquise Lightfoot returned. He's only a true 86 overall, which I don't think will get him declaring for the draft or even going high enough. But we should have Cole Carmichael coming back and a really good pass rush unit for next season. But as I look at our roster and I project out some more development for this year, I don't think there's anything staring at us as a need in the transfer portal. So we're going to get underway today. We've got the players leaving stage. Let's see what this brings our way. With 4 players declaring to the draft, Armando Blunt would have an extremely low chance of persuasion anyway, but there are 2 more. And one of those players is Ray Joseph, who has a medium persuasion chance, but it's the first 3 rounds, so I'm going to let him go pro. Joseph has been one of our best receivers the last couple of years, and we're going to have to replace some guys this season. We're losing him and Isaiah Horton. Now, JoJo Trader, very high persuasion chance. I would love for him to return. Trader will stay with Miami. And then Emory Williams, I have convinced him to stay in the past. I am going to let him go, and that's going to mean every quarterback on our roster was brought in by me. Even if something happened to Kunalik this year, I would prefer to learn about the guys we already have when Williams hasn't really impressed me in the small chances he has received. So we do have a few more players graduating that should get drafted, which is going to help our pro potential grades. Isaiah Horton, Ryan Rodriguez, Mark Fletcher, Francis Mauinoa, and Jordan Phillips all should be drafted. But here's a full list of everybody moving on from the Canes. This is a look at our career receiving numbers right now with Horton, Whitmore, and Joseph included. We're losing all three of those guys, which means outside of Trader, there isn't a lot of proven receiving talent on the team. Larry Slaughter is one of those next men up with excellent speed and deep threat ability. But if we're looking for someone that can win with their route running, that is not going to be a very developed skill set unless someone takes a massive leap. I've recruited a bunch of receivers. Jaden Mastrud has impact development. Do we have anybody higher that we could project to take a big leap? Jordan has impact as well. Stan Perkins only normal. So that's definitely a place to look at then in the portal, especially when you consider like our tight ends aren't great either. We're losing our starter in that department. We need some easy options in the passing game for Colin Kunalik. And here are the draft results. Miami produces 2 first-round picks, a second, 2 threes, a 4, and a 5. A lot of good players there we're moving on from. So let's get into the portal and recruiting session now with a look at who we already have in this class. Miami has a third-ranked class, 17 players, purposefully going for a smaller class that includes 4 5-stars, 11 4s. I just don't think it's the year to be replacing a third of our roster. So at the top of this list here, we've got Sean Simons, a receiver I found fairly late in the process. I don't think he'll be ready to play as a freshman, but I'm really intrigued with the spec catch, the speed. He's 6'1", 191, hoping he can be a contested catch guy for us in the future. He's revealed to have normal development, though. Then we got impact on Jamison Rust, a running back, as we do need to start developing our next running backs with Fletcher moving on. We also lost Damian Martinez in the previous offseason. Chris Johnson's going to be with us for the next season. But then who replaces him? Jamison Rust will be in the running for that opportunity. We got center Mike Gossett with normal development. Keenan Dragos, a defensive tackle, has impact. Looks to be a really solid pass rushing prospect. Star on Sean Matlock. As tight ends, one of those spots where I'm looking for someone to separate talent-wise, and he does have very good speed and route running. Then we got Terrence Gore at normal, a pass rusher. 5-star player too, but doesn't have the dev trait to go with it. Garrison Thomas has impact development. He's a safety with excellent speed, zone cover ability. Easy to like that skill set. Then we got linebacker Quan Byam, an impact dev player who can already, probably contribute as a run stopper with 85 tackle, 86 pursuit. Hopefully develop some coverage down the road. Ben Chubb is the 6th-ranked defensive tackle, 4-star player. I know that it's disappointing to get players who have that bust label, but the ratings are just too good to pass up in this range. Then we go to Kevin Dombrowski, number 3 player in the entire class, an impact dev guy, 87 finesse move, 90 strength. Really excited to get him in. And then at center, Fernando Flores, star dev there, is going to be really nice as we lose our starting center from a year ago. I'm not expecting that even these high-ranked players are going to start as true freshmen. I think in some instances it could make sense. Quentin Prescott, wide receiver with star development. That's solid. Paul McCracken has impact. Kevin Irving, elite development. 4th-ranked player, number 1 right tackle in the country. That's a huge addition for us. Emmanuel Harris has elite development. I brought in 3 really good tight ends. The battles were rather easy, and they were way too good to just say, no, I don't want that guy. They were all really good prospects. And maybe Harris is that tight end star we've been waiting for. And with nobody standing out there in a major way, maybe he's someone that can get on the field early. And Kevin Andrews says, hey, I got elite development as well, with a different archetype. So we'll have to compare those two later on. And then impact on Alex McCants. Overall, it's been a pretty good class to this point. This was the big miss, not getting Marcus Daniels, but that was a really difficult battle. Elite dev, elite speed, great coverage and tackling. Man, I'm so mad we missed out on him. So let's take a look then at the transfer portal. No 5-star players in there. I'm mostly interested in 4s. Devin Smith at linebacker is an option. There's Keon Keeley, a corner in Daryl Sweeting. And then if we look at the top receivers, I don't have a lot of options. Guys are locking us out, and it's basically Aiden Williams, a junior transfer, deep threat at 6'3", 190. Now, because I have so many hours, I might be willing to do a little bit more scouting than normal on these transfer players, because I don't really have any more high school players I'm trying to recruit. I really finished that up a few weeks ago. It's interesting how few will actually consider coming to us, but playing style here is showing F. So our receiving back deal breaker there is not looking very good. I'm not sure why I can't talk to some of these other players that have locked us out. Maybe they just have other teams they like more. For 3 stars, it's extremely limited, and I'm not going to look into 2s. If you were curious, though, about quarterbacks in the portal this year, CJ Bailey is the #1 guy from NC State, but we're not going to be making a move there. All right, let's see if these guys stand out then. Aiden Williams, very speedy, good route running. I think that skill set would be nice for us to have this coming season. So we are going to offer him a scholarship. Let's see on Donald Scroggins then, a transfer freshman running back. So I am intrigued at times with recruiting players that are so young that they'll be able to develop with us for a while. And Scroggins being a freshman with these skills, definitely going to offer him a scholarship. And then we got Devin Smith, as we could use more linebacker depth and 99 tackling. Yeah, that's going to get him a scholarship. And then cornerback, which I think you really need to show some promise here to make it. 76 awareness might not be enough, and he's a junior. So I've already brought in so many corners in this series. If I were to bring one in this year, I'd have to pick Kevin Levy. Take Balfour off this list, he graduates, but you look at Stafford, Massey, and then these freshmen who are going to develop. Could a transfer portal guy really crack the top 3 or 4? I don't think so. And none of these 4-star offensive linemen are going to consider us. This could be because of sacks against. Especially, that pass protector archetype looks at how many sacks you allow. We allowed 10 in our last game. So we're kind of screwed there if we want to bring in players with that as a deal breaker. So I can't bring in any 3-star or better interior linemen. I have exactly one option then at tackle. And Ramon Lennon is definitely a good starting caliber player. But I think that we have a good enough tackle situation and we have depth that's going to develop. I think Alan Edmond becomes one of the starters next year with Elite Dev. I don't know, he could be a 90 when we open up this newest season. So I don't see our recruiting class getting a whole lot larger at this stage. Pro potential is an A+. Aiden Williams, you can come visit then this week. And then we're also going to have linebacker Devin Smith visit this week. But that's only 3 players I'm offering to right now. I'm also going to give an offer here to Cameron Talib. I'm sure I can find a spot for an extra safety. I know that we have a few that are developing right now that are pretty solid. And then I'm wondering here on Denario Stammer, he was my second favorite, like, go up and get it contested catch receiver. We did learn that Sean Simons has normal dev. So it's interesting to think about Stammer just because it's another chance to get higher dev with that skill set. So I am going to offer a scholarship to him ultimately. Week 1 off-season recruiting is done. We do get Denario Stammer to commit. That was an uncontested battle. That's our 4th receiver added in this class, and we knew he was a gem. So Stammer's going to end up having... Oh, they're not going to tell me the development rate now. I thought I would get it once he committed. And then for these transfer portal players, Auburn also wants Aiden Williams. We already had to visit those, so if he goes to Auburn in one of these next weeks, that could get tough. Scroggins bumps us up to number 1. Devin Smith has us behind Auburn. Week 2 is now wrapped up, and nobody new is added. But Devin Smith ultimately chooses to go to Auburn instead of us. So we've got 2 targets left, and the Buckeyes are leading for Donald Scroggins. And Aiden Williams still has us above the Tigers. We're going to hard sell then for Donald Scroggins to try to get above Ohio State. And we can have him visit this week as well. Aiden Williams does pick the Canes. That was a big one, and we do get Scroggins instead of Ohio State. We wrap it up with safety Cameron Talib, and that will complete this year's recruiting class. We're going to end with the number 3 recruiting class. 21 players, 4 5-stars. In the ACC, though, the best recruiting class by 10 points over Florida State. Cameron Talib does end up with star development, so that feels really good. You can also see dev traits here for players I did not get as aggressive for. Denario Stammer, impact development. Aiden Williams has star and is a junior, so could potentially... Well, does that mean he's a junior now and is about to be a senior? I think that might be the case. Donald Scroggins, impact dev. I don't think we added any athletes this year, so I don't know that I have to change really any positions. It is fun to click on players, though, and see what else they could potentially play, especially if they don't really have much of a chance at their current position. But I haven't really run into, I guess, the right athletes in this series. So Aiden Williams is going to have 84 overall, and that feels like a pretty good decision then. I think that'll be good enough to be our 2nd or 3rd receiver this season. And then we got my favorite part of the offseason, training results. How much better has everybody gotten? Well, Robert Stafford pops as a 95 overall now at corner. Samson Okunlola, 92. Truly a 90. Stafford is truly a 94. Horton, truly an 87. That's how much of a boost Boogie Turner gives our defensive linemen. Marquise Lightfoot gets a +4. Chris Johnson now an 89. So let's go position by position. Colin Kunalik didn't really develop much, and David Kinoy overtakes him in overall. Interesting development. So Kinoy is going to have a little bit lower arm strength, but better accuracy, and that is across the board. Kinoy isn't much of a scrambling threat, whereas Kunalik has a lot relying on his scrambling ability. So, a big leap for David Kinoy. That's pretty exciting. His accuracy is now at its cap, so he might get better, awareness and everything else, but I think the core of his quarterback development is now complete. He's got the winning time, mental ability for increased composure late in games. That's very good. And as a refresher on his traits, David Kinoy has balanced style, average sense of pressure, ideal decision making. I'm a little curious what that would all play like, especially in tricky, pressure-filled situations after seeing Kunalik throw 18 picks. So things got interesting. Kunalik didn't grow much postseason. did most of his developing during the year, and everybody else seems to be catching up. Now, he has a lot of upward potential with his accuracy, but the accuracy isn't at all what's held him back. And running back now, we need to see who's going to become the number 2 behind Chris Johnson. Max Boger, Randy Titus. These are the top contenders. Titus is the guy I wanted to see take on this role. He didn't get any faster this year, and that was something I really wanted to see. There's still an awful lot to like in his game, but I think we should also get a good look at Boger and consider a future where Titus maybe moves to wide receiver, depending on how this all plays out. He has really good route runnings, but I've wanted him to be kind of the running back of the future. Are we on that path or not? I guess we're going to find out this year, getting a chance to see him on the field. Whoa, wait a minute here. Larry Slaughter. He just came out of nowhere to 88 overall as our number 1 guy. Is that plus like 11 overall? Larry, not even at his route running cap yet, but he's mostly a maxed out player here. And wow, this comes at a great time, losing 3 of last year's top 4 receivers. JoJo Trader an 87, Aiden Williams then an 84, and that should be your 1 through 3. That's a pretty good situation. Jaden Mastrud 79. Not seeing anybody here who took a massive leap, but I am intrigued with Sean Simons being a 75 immediately. So at the wide receiver position then, we have 3 guys with 97 speed in general. Very fast receiving core. A lot of players with good hands. Aiden Williams, Larry Slaughter, JoJo are all 89 or higher. For catching traffic, Larry Slaughter is number 1. And Sean Simons, 83, is in 4th place. For spec catch, Aiden Williams, Larry Slaughter, JoJo, all 90 plus. Route running, we're going to give the edge to JoJo, and it looks like every department. Stan Perkins is on his way there, and he's probably the number 4 receiver this season. Paul McCracken has high, medium route running. Quentin Prescott. And then deep route running, that's going to be JoJo, Slaughter, Williams, and then Jaden Mastrud. For release, Perkins really good. Slaughter really good. So Larry Slaughter is going to be starting outside wide receiver this season. At tight end, nobody takes a massive leap. In that case, if we look at route running, most tight end routes are going to be, I think, in the short bucket there. Teague has 81, Lofton 81. We do have Sean Matlock at 75, Kevin Andrews 75. Like all 3 of our freshmen I brought in are pretty close there. So I know that elite development is really intriguing here. If we also look at run blocking then, DeMar Friend is number 1, Tyreek Teague number 2. I'm feeling Teague is either the first or second tight end on the depth chart. He is the highest rated guy there, but he's not fast, 73 speed. So I feel like he's kind of locked into number 2 unless we need that blocking that badly. Moving on to the offensive line, Okunlola, 92 overall right now. Pitts develops to an 82. And then Tommy Kinsler to an 85, same as Derek Plaz. At center, Antoine Stock looks to be our new number 1 player there. I don't know if he went over Nico Francavilla. I know I mentioned him in the previous episode as a potential future starter, but Stock is in line to have that spot now. And right guard, Antonio Tripp, 85. So the guard situation seems better. These guys were more low 80s a year ago. Should help our inside zone out a little bit. And then Alan Edmond doesn't take a massive leap, but with his elite development, hopefully he does, continue progress. I don't know how tackles develop mid-season, how that all works. But he's very young, elite development. He's going to step in with a pretty good all-around skill set. No weaknesses. Very fast, too. And now we move to defense, where Tremaine Treadwell and Lester Judowski pop as 83 overalls. And that's going to have them firmly behind the likes of Marquise Lightfoot. Cole McConaughey ends up taking a pretty big leap. He goes over Cole Carmichael. So 95 finesse moves. We're going to have to see if this is our new trio. Who replaces Blunt? Now, we usually have Blunt playing on the edge in like base, and then he goes inside for pass rush packages. Nobody here has that kind of size and like power to make that move. Lester Judowski, I think archetype-wise, would be the closest player to Armando Blunt. 82 finesse, but 88 power move. How about the defensive tackles then? Josh Horton, Sharif Ladd. I played Ladd a lot last year. I imagine we don't have anybody playing the Armando Blunt role of part-time edge, part-time inside rusher. I think that the defensive tackles are going to lock that down. Ladd and Horton. And then we've got really good freshmen now to develop in the meantime. Tony Rizzo up to an 82. That's a +3, and he should be one of our top coverage linebackers this season with 89 zone. Cam Pruitt, 88, and Damian Rawlings, an 84. Rawlings' coverage just hasn't developed quick enough to keep him on the field more often. It's obviously significantly better for Pruitt, 30 points better. And then Forrest Small, he is a power rusher who can do a little zone coverage. So kind of that utility linebacker role. But I think this year you're going to see mostly Rizzo and Pruitt. At corner, Robert Stafford, 95. He pops big. And then nobody gets to the mid-80s alongside him. Demario Massey, small leap forward, and then Oscar Virgin to an 82. Same for Marquise Gainwell. I think that if I brought somebody in the portal, they would have had very similar ratings, and I'd rather just develop this youth than, make a portal move there. Then at safety, we got Zaquan Patterson, 86 overall. He's an entrenched starter. And then Isaiah Thomas has developed faster than Deontay Witherspoon, but I haven't gotten Witherspoon a ton of playing time since his freshman year. So this season, probably better off still playing Thomas over him. Isaiah Thomas will be a first-year starter with impact development. Willie Shembo, I don't know that much changed here. 93 power, 79 accuracy. And then Ricky Thomas filling in for Dylan Joyce as the new punter. 84 power, 76 kick accuracy. And that is your team going into this new year. I think the one thing that's on my mind now is, could we potentially be better with David Kinoy? I'm really impressed with his development this year, and I definitely like to see what his game is like. But at the same time, I want to give Kunalik a chance to improve off of last season, and his ceiling is undoubtedly higher. But I guess we have to see if those turnover issues persist. I know that more updates have come out for this game. I believe since the most recent of updates, I want to say I downloaded that after the playoffs, but now it's been a few days and I can't quite remember the order of everything there for me. Now, it could also be that the issues with the slow sim quarterback gameplay are just going to be universal and aren't going anywhere. And in that case, you're just better off with a more dynamic player. But if the traits matter, I'm really curious about Kinoy's traits combined with superior accuracy. I do need to cut 4 players. Byron Dugans is only a 65 overall, so I can't see him beating out other players on the roster. I'm going to have to go down to only 1 kicker on the team, I think. It's pretty tough to make cuts right now, so we're going to stick with Willie Shembo. I think I'm also going to encourage that Ben Garrison transfers. I know I checked on traits last year, and I felt like his traits were just not going to beat out who we had. And now I'm more intrigued with Kinoy. And then I do like Sergio Keenan. So we're going to encourage that Garrison looks for a new team. The final cut here is probably going to be Jaden Wilkins, as we have a lot of receivers with some standout skills. He's lower rated than most of them and doesn't seem to have one of those standout abilities. Here is the schedule for this year. We're locked into games against SMU, Cal, UNC with NC State, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Louisville, Florida State. Somehow that is only 2 games on the road in conference. So I'm going to give us Liberty then here towards the end of the year. I don't want back-to-back bye weeks. So I'm going to have us playing Liberty at home, giving us a long stretch of home games to bring in recruits on visits. You know what? Give me my Buffalo Bulls here in the first game of this season. I'd like for a bit easier opponent, and the Bulls just went 7-7. Maybe it's not an easier opponent, but I think it'd be fun to play them. And for this to be a game where we maybe have a chance to get a look at both quarterbacks if it is a blowout win, as you might expect. But to keep it reasonable here, I'll play 2 road games then out of conference. Let's have a tough one here. Let's go up against Oregon. They won a recruiting battle against me. That kind of bugged me. And you know what? I think it's about time we play against the Gators again at the same time. We're going to the Swamp in week 3. There's a lot of things that I like about Dynasty that give it the edge to me over franchise, and one of those is being able to influence your schedule. And I feel like in Madden, although like the NFL has certain like orders that they'll play teams, like for out of conference teams, you rotate a new division every year. And for your conference games, you're taking on, you know, if you finished in second place, you're going to face a couple other teams in the conference that finished in second place. But I feel like having some influence over the order of games and like who you open the season against, who you close the season against, would be a nice touch to Madden franchise. All right, who wants to see some skill caps then on our new players? Here's Donald Scroggins, brought over in the transfer portal. Not going to get much better with elusiveness, but perhaps pass catching and power can come up a little bit. And then Jamison Rust, I recruited him, and he's an impact dev player who has a decent ceiling here. Maybe mid-80s-ish is where I could see him capping out. Pretty low route running, though, with low catching as well. I brought in a lot of receivers, 4 of them as a matter of fact. Sean Simons, the highest rated with normal dev, still has a chance to, I think, become a starting caliber player. Route running is going to have to get a lot better for that reality to come up. And then I added Denario Stammer when I found out he only had normal dev and I might want another chance at a higher ceiling player. It looks like their caps are pretty close. We'll just have to see who develops better. And then Paul McCracken is the 4-star route runner that I recruited. And route running does have a cap there that's a little annoying. But I also got Quentin Prescott, a star dev route runner, and his cap is not as restrictive. Now I brought in 3 top 10 tight ends in the most recent class. Kevin Andrews, elite development. This man's got a quarterback wristband. Do you have throw power by chance, or are you just built different here, Kevin? I mean, the caps are really good. And no, this guy has no business throwing the football even in pregame warmups. Hey, it's a few years into the future. You can't predict trends that easily. Maybe in a few years, everyone's going to wear a wristband and they're going to communicate audible silently using sign language or something. Like, think outside the box. Sean Matlock. He has star development And the caps aren't great. IQ is maxed out, 68 overall. That doesn't feel good. Emmanuel Harris, then elite development, high ceiling on blocking, and should turn into a really good tight end at the same time. So 2 elite guys. I feel like Matlock might be the worst of this bunch. I got 2 centers this year. This is 4-star Mike Gossett, normal dev. Those caps suck. Fernando Flores, another 4-star. His caps are better. And then Kevin Irving at right tackle, elite 5-star. I don't want to see a single cap. I'll accept it. Terrence Gore, the edge rusher, comes in as an 80. 5-star with normal dev. And yeah, he peaked early. Now, Kevin Dombrowski's the guy I really want to become a starter next season, replacing Horton. He has impact dev and worse caps than I would have liked, but should still have a chance to be a really good player. Ben Chubb, normal development, and yeah, these normal dev players aren't going to be developing a ton. Keenan Dragos has impact development, and power move, unfortunately, is capped at a pretty bad level considering, well, finesse is a 70, so that is useful, but he's a power rusher. I wish that wasn't so restrictive. Quan Byam, 5-star. He was a run stopper that I hoped could find some pass coverage skill, and thankfully the cap should allow him to explore that. Garrison Thomas, free safety, 75. Looking at, an annoying cap kind of on zone coverage, but it's already an 81. Alex McCants, only a 3-star. And yeah, the caps are a little bit restrictive. And finally, Cameron Talib, one of our last additions, a 3-star with star dev and the cowboy collar. He has about the same restrictions there, but should still become a good player. We are coming in 5th right now in the preseason top 25. What has Purdue done to become the number 2 team? Hey, don't sleep on Purdue. They've got one of the best receivers. They've got junior quarterback, 86 overall, Marcus Davila. This is some pretty good development, I would have to think, for Purdue. So let's get a jump then on the next season of recruiting. We're always recruiting somebody. And our grades this year are in pretty good standing. Coach stability, coach prestige are back in a positive point. For 5-star players, only one has us as his top team. This is Jalen Creer from Iowa. Not even in a pipeline. Interesting he would pick us. Like, he wants to get the heck out of the Midwest. So, of course, we're going to start off with these 5-stars then that have an interest in us. We're even going to look at quarterbacks, I think. This season, we only have a total of 10 seniors. That's it? 7 on offense, 3 on defense. Which means we should really be even more selective. We're losing a running back. I will have no issue in scouting running backs thoroughly. 2 left tackles on the way out, and in general, 4 offensive linemen. So I know I spent a lot of time on that spot a year ago, and I'll probably spend a good chunk of time there again. On defense, we're losing 2 corners. So I might explore that. We're also very young at corner and could end up being in a very good spot. I would say this also gives us a really good chance to go heavy on athletes and just worry about where they fit later on. But I think that I need to keep looking into the top athletes. When I only have room for so many players, I want game changers, and I think that athletes give you some of the best opportunities there. So let's get to some scouting then. Jalen Creer. Gem right away, right end 5-star. Sinilau Sagapolu, defensive tackle with really good strength. but don't have any indication on pass rushing with a run-stopping archetype. Malcolm Schomer, wide receiver, is a gem. 97 speed gem as well, with physical archetype. So that's a lot of speed to throw into that skill set. Here we go, a power back with 91 speed, 87 trucking, 90 break tackle. This is Ted Good. Downhill, head first, balanced, great abilities. We're offering him. I'm also going to offer to Shakir Skaggs, the number 6 ranked player, who is an athlete with an offensive line focus. 87 accuracy right away sounds pretty good here on Shakir Barmore. That quick jump ability, I'm pretty sure, is what Marquise Lightfoot has, and it's already in the platinum tier, I believe. So Raheem Lett is going to the board. No gem on running back here for Caleb Ewing. I feel like I want running backs that don't have that bust label. 97 speed at corner. This is Montrell Flood. I got 97 speed at corner twice in a row, both man-to-man archetype. Marquez Monty, 93 speed, 93 acceleration, and 77 ball carrier vision right away. I'll have to look more at our running backs to see how much I really want to add. I know for sure we have room for a good power back. And there's a gem. I haven't honestly found that many gems so far, but when I see one, they get the offer. Jason Washington, gem, power rusher with 83 power moves and 75 speed is pretty good for a D tackle. And now we're getting into all these athletes I added. So George Gutierrez, they have him as a scrambler right now, but he is a bust. Power back Lee Knight, really good on speed, stiff arm, trucking. I think he'll be one of the more intriguing power backs. Nathan Jackson, 6'3", 256, probably looking at a tight end. And you're going to have to be pretty good to beat out the tight ends we already recruited. Bust on Marquez Lewis. Bust on Reggie Moran. But a gem on Dante Bakhtiari. Elusive back. 5'9", 175. Could also maybe be a corner or a receiver. Outside of speed, though, those other skills aren't, like, tremendously high. He is a 3-star player. So we'll keep him on the board for now. I really want to add a linebacker like Marcus Daniels. I missed out on him last year. I found a gem here in Enrique Butcher. 91 speed, 73 zone coverage. Could definitely be one of our best options. And then I get Owen Gentry here as an option as well. Only 68 zone coverage here on Gentry. It feels like the field generals are not starting with as high of zone coverage. So in that case, you need someone that can develop, and I will take my chances with the gems. So we'll offer on Gentry and Butcher. Alan Luck, a right tackle. 2 abilities, physical abilities. And very good pass protection. 83 pass blocking, only 62 run. And then I'm also going to give an offer here to 4-star Teddy Shelley. And that's going to lead us into our new season in 2027. We'll just take a small look here at how these players are responding to the first bit of recruiting. In second place here for Jalen Creer. We go to 7 on Segapolu. Number 1 on wide receiver, Malcolm Schomer. And I thought he was one of the highest ceiling players out of anybody I had scouted. Just seeing that kind of speed with 88 spec catch and just having that speed at that archetype is just not what I'm used to. But I'm expecting, given we only have so many openings on the roster, I'll be able to go pretty heavily on these 5-stars. And we brought in, I think, 4 a year ago, and hopefully we can bring in at least 4 more really good 5-star players to push this program even further forward. But I love your feedback down below, especially when it comes to how we should let this quarterback situation shake out. I guess to me, it's still Colin Kunalik at quarterback. But I'd like the opportunity to see Kinoy run this offense. And if Kunalik struggles, we're definitely going to see it. I do think our team is in really good shape this year to continue competing. We do need someone to step up at running back, though. It can't just be Chris Johnson. We need either Boger or Titus to show they're ready to replace a pretty key role. I would like to still be a fairly run-heavy offense, but I'm excited to see what the combo of Trader, Slaughter, and Williams plays like for us. And then it's all about replacing Armando Blunt's impact on defense. Lightfoot and Carmichael can both play. How about Cole McConaughey? How about Sharif Ladd now as a junior? Brought him in the first recruiting class. And now Armando Blunt's not there to take up any of that playing time. We're hoping for a big leap out of Ladd. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section, and next time we get on to our new season to see if the Hurricanes can match those high expectations. We were a playoff team a year ago. We're expected to be very good again this season. I did not give us an easy schedule, though. We're going to open against Buffalo, and then we're going to Eugene, to the Swamp. And a big reason why I wanted to do it this way is because I want the information I need on Kunalik as early as possible. Go on the road, play well in these games. There will be no questions about who's QB1 going forward. If things are shaky, though, David Kinoy could get a chance. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the offseason. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more Miami Hurricanes Dynasty. See you all next time. Have a great day.